Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the back office. I'm a little unhappy about the engraving video we did recently. If you recall, I tried to engrave in a box as an example, and it was this box, and it came out rubbish. And it was to show you the technique of infill, wax infill like we'd used here, but that was no good. So what I've done is engrave on this. So you can watch the little bit of a clip there. We've got the process of this being engraved in this acrylic, and it's a little bit furry. There's a tiny bit of sort of residue still in here, but I don't think it's enough to sort of cause a problem. I mean, I could just go through with a pin and pick it all out, but I'm not going to bother because I don't think that's going to affect us too much. It's just to sort of hold it up for you so you can see. It's pretty good actually. It's quite clear. And this was just a bit of scrap acrylic, hence the sort of scrapness of it. But I might cut around this and make a keyring out of it. But I want to just show you then the process. So we have a wax crayon, and I've got a nice red wax crayon just to sort of really make it stand out, and we can put that on our pad. So you can see it's hard to see. So this is super deep though. You wouldn't really want to engrave most things at this depth, because it would just be insanely deep. But it's a really good example because it will really take a lot of wax. That's why when I did this one, it was quite there's sort of bumps in this area because the wax hasn't actually sat down too well to sort of fill that. You can see how it's kind of done the writing back office really well, but the other features it's really struggling to sort of stay in there. So I'm just going to have to work it at different angles, whichever way works basically. It's going to be tricky to do the top one. I think that's going to be our biggest burden there. Still, actually, it is working. I think I've got it. By Jove, I think I've got it. Woo! That's pretty good, actually. Now, the technique other people say to use is to put it in an oven at sort of 40 degrees. But I'm going to be a bit impatient, really, and we're going to go for the whole air blower technique just because we've got one. Now, this I may regret this because it takes over an hour to etch this because I've got it etching on sort of settings I would use for a metal machine. Oh crikey, did you see that? Instantly that started to have an effect. This might not work well, we might melt our acrylic, but let's just keep it moving. Let's keep it moving, it'll be alright, we'll be alright. So the idea of the melting bit is to let the wax settle nicely into the grooves basically. I'm just going to do a test on the edge of this acrylic to see how much it can take. Actually, it can take quite a lot of heat. It's not really being affected by the heat so much, so that's good. So focus on our wax then instead. So I'd say that's a good first pass. So the wax is kind of melty. So what I can do now is just sort of let that sort of cure, let it go hard, and then I'll apply a bit more wax and then we'll try again. It looks like a massacre! But I think I've left it a few minutes now and it's feeling pretty rigid. Ooh. So I'm just going to take my kind of sharp stick, really, that's all it is. And I'm just going to just gently rub it across the top, and that should have the effect of scraping away the excess wax. You can see it there collecting on the end of the stick. And I'm just going to keep going with that, really. Just noticed my camera lens seems very stiff these days. I suspect some of my milling dust has gone into that, rather annoyingly. So let's just give this a shake into the bin. So that's it pretty much there. You've got different options now. So you can either just keep scraping it, which works pretty well, but you just got to make sure you don't, deep gouge into your infill and scoop out the wax material. And then there's a point where you're not going to be able to clean that anymore. Now, something I discovered the other day, and I'm going to try this out again, is the label remover, and there's not much left here. I don't want to ruin my pad having it get on it. Shall we use this instead? Just a bit in the corner. I just want to see. It did seem to just take off. Yeah, look, see how it just lifts the wax really easily. So it's weird, isn't it? I guess wax, obviously, there's solvents there that will eat that wax pretty niftily. And whatever's in label remover certainly is one of those things. So that's looking pretty neat. Now there is a little bit there where there was when I was setting up the CNC, I didn't do it quite right. So I kind of dug in a little bit where I didn't want to. So if I really want to get rid of that though, I could just clear the wax out of that. Ow! And it wouldn't be so visible. And if I really want to not have the problem, I'll just set the machine up correctly next time. Yeah, it's alright. It's alright, look at that. So that's how you do it. And I think that the quality of the cut is getting better. The more I use the machine, the more I can get these things looking quite sharp. So if you compare it to the original one on the left here, you can see where the machine was starting to get clogged up on the cutter. And that did actually start to happen here, but I managed to get some silicone oil and spray that there. So I think what I'll do is I'm just going to nip this away real quick, just roughly cut round it, and make it into a keyring. I'll be back in a moment. And the final fruits of the labours. Ta-da! Yes, my very own back office keyring. Now I don't have one of those, I don't know what you call them, with the sanding thing, the linisher or polishing discs or sandpaper or anything really. So I'm really quite impressed. I've made this entirely out of scrap a bit of plastic from my ceiling light modification. Remember I cut a ceiling light down? That's why this plastic has got a very weird thing. When I hold it this ways on, you can see it's got a very red tint, and that's because it's got a weird refractive index. Cool, look, you can see what's going on from behind. It's a really, I'm really quite pleased. It does look quite good. If this was actually non-scrap material and maybe a bit thicker piece of acrylic, I think that's very passable as an awesome keyring. I'm going to use this, I think. I think I have to. If you like this, please let me know. Maybe I'll make some. Make a keyring for you with your name on it. How about that? Maybe this logo with your name, Fred. Fans of the back office. As ever, thanks for watching.